This tutorial will help you develop a strategy for creating your class schedule. In college, you have the opportunity to build your own class schedule. To make this schedule, you need to consider your curriculum requirements, the availability of classes, and maintaining a balance as much as possible. As you build your schedule, you need to prioritize the classes on your enrollment worksheet that you need and want to take. Your first priority are the required classes for your major. The second priority is the Gen Ed Cluster 1 course or courses that you will take during your first semester. Your third priority is enrolling for optional classes that you want to take during your first semester, and these optional classes are listed on your enrollment worksheet. To complete your schedule, you will enroll in Gen Ed classes. Choose these Gen Ed classes based on your preferences on your enrollment worksheet, availability of classes, and how the available classes fit around what you have already scheduled. As you schedule your classes, utilize the Daily Schedule Planner to help you keep track of what you enrolled in for the semester. The Daily Schedule Planner shows the start times of all classes at JMU. The dotted lines represent possible ending times for classes because the length of classes varies. For example, classes typically are 50-minute, 75-minute, or 150-minute blocks. As you know, credit hours, or credits, are the way we measure classwork. Therefore, the number of credit hours for a class will determine how much a class will meet throughout the week. For example, a 3-credit class may meet 3 times a week for 50 minutes or twice a week for 75 minutes. Whether the class meets for 50-minute blocks or 75-minute blocks during the week, there will be about 2.5 hours of in-class time. A 1-credit class may meet once a week for 50 minutes or closer to 3 hours. When a 1-credit course meets for about 3 hours, it is often because the class is a science lab. A 4-credit class looks like a 3-credit class plus a 1-credit class, and this can look a number of ways. Now that you know you need to focus on the days and times that classes meet when you're looking for classes on MyMadison, you also need to focus on location for the class as well. Remember that JMU is a large campus with classes that meet in many different buildings, so it's important that you consider travel time when you're enrolling in classes. This is especially important if you schedule back-to-back classes that only give you 15 minutes of travel time. The Madison Advising Peers, who are JMU students, have created a section titled, "Can I Get There on Time?" to help you determine how quickly you can make it from one place to the next. Therefore, as you register for classes, utilize your Daily Schedule Planner to help you keep track of the day, time, and location of classes that you have enrolled in for the semester. This enables you to see where you can add another class. Print and utilize your enrollment worksheet, Can I Get There on Time diagram, and the Daily Schedule Planner as you are enrolling in classes. Your enrollment worksheet will indicate the number of credit hours that you should enroll in during your first semester at JMU, which is typically between 14 and 16 credit hours. Depending on the number of credit hours that each class is worth, you may be enrolling in 4 to 6 classes. You may only enroll in a maximum of 17 credit hours. You will utilize MyMadison to enroll in classes, and the MyMadison tutorials will teach you how to add classes, swap classes, and use the waitlist feature. When you search for classes on MyMadison, the system will show you the list of classes with seats available. If you see the message that reads, "The search returns no results that match the criteria specified," this means there are no sections with open seats. With all this information, let's go through an example of how to strategize enrolling in classes. In this example, the student's major is Justice Studies. By utilizing the enrollment worksheet, the student has already enrolled in 13 credit hours by enrolling in courses for the major and Cluster 1. The enrollment worksheet indicates that the student in this major should register for 14 to 16 credits, so the student needs to enroll in one more class. Let's find the last class by starting with Cluster 2, Visual and Performing Arts. Searching for G-Art History 205, we find that there are no open seats, so we need to move on to looking for another class. Searching for G-Art History 206, there are 4 sections with open seats and only 2 sections that will fit in the student's schedule. If the student picks the first section with an open seat on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:10 in Montpelier Hall, then the student will have 4 classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Having 4 classes one day can be challenging if you face several exams or homework deadlines on one day, and it can also make it more difficult to spend time studying or reviewing notes in between classes. Although it might not be ideal to have 4 classes in one day, there also may be no way around it. Let's see what the schedule will look like if the student enrolls in the Tuesday-Thursday section at 2 o'clock. This will provide a more balanced schedule. Once you have finalized your schedule, you will be able to go back and review it anytime through MyMadison. When you view your completed schedule, you will be able to see each class you are enrolled in for the semester, the number of credit hours for each class, the days and times the class meets, the location of those meetings, the instructor, and the start and end dates of the class. After your 48-hour enrollment window, you will still have the opportunity to make changes to your schedule during open enrollment. Open enrollment is a period when any student can make changes to their schedule. Open enrollment will begin shortly after all of the summer springboard orientation sessions have happened. At this point, you should be able to describe your priorities for enrolling in classes. Understand that your preferences are balanced with your priorities and class availability, and know how to utilize the daily schedule planner when enrolling. If you do not feel comfortable with any of these objectives, please take time to re-watch this section.